So good afternoon mga ka-DDS, and actually it's quite cold right here in Japan. It's winter, and yeah, later this afternoon it will be like having some snow. And actually wala akong magawa ngayon, so I'm thinking it would be so timely to like just do some records and to explain why I will be voting for Duterte this coming election. And basically, if some people are gonna hear my reason, they're gonna be thinking, "Oh, San is from Davao. That is why he will be voting for Duterte this coming election." But if I'm going to dig down my reasons, it's not just because, yeah, part and parcel would be like I'm from Davao, but the main reason why I voted Duterte is because he got my like trust. Actually, it's my first time to be registered, and it will be my first time to vote, so I'm quite excited. The reason why I have not been like registering myself in the past elections is because I have not seen a candidate yet fitted for my one vote. And here comes Duterte, and yeah, I'm excited to do my first like for me to vote. Um, Actually, guys, um, here actually it's my first time to like record myself like opening my thoughts, with certain matters. But I think it would be timely. It's because it is like the onset of the electoral campaign in the Philippines, and I think this small thing we're gonna be creating so many ripples, and I think it will be reaching out to those people who really don't understand yet what the platform of Duterte is all about. So let me discuss to you my thoughts about like the platform as well as the possible reason why you should vote him. And so let's start. So guys, when I was in high school, um, my teacher in science, I could still remember her name. Her name is Mom Chen. She taught us about like solve how to solve the problem using scientific method. And the first step in solving a problem using the scientific method, if my memory serves me right, is that you should know what the problem is. So, because logically, how are you going to solve the problem if you really don't know what the problem is? Putting this logic in the spectrum of what is going on in the Philippines, if we're going to trace back our history, it's been like how many? 15 president, it means 15 government already, um, who that run the nation, the state. But the problems Philippines is experiencing is basically the same problem all over and all over and all over again. Would this mean that the reason why the government really, even up to this moment, cannot address properly the problem, it's because they don't know the problem? Probably. Or on the other side of the coin, probably they know the problem. It's just that they are not addressing the problem. Okay? So you might be thinking, yeah, it would be so difficult like for you to picture out the whole like to picture out what is really the problem in the Philippines, because basically Philippines is a land of problem in terms of like economy, in terms of like the education, the unemployment, the inflation, everything. Philippines have this kind of problem. Now, also, if we're going to address this thought, one of my teacher in high school, and he is my teacher in math, and like actually I'm having hard time in math before. It's not that I'm not good at it. It's just that I need to exert more effort really to solve some formula or formulae. And my teacher, Sir Dan, that time taught me about the deductive method. Deductive method is just basically removing those variables which are not needed in the formula in order for you to get. It might not be the right answer, but it would give you the answer which is very much like close to the answer. So if we're going to use this deductive like method in understanding the problem of the Philippines, I think it will boil us down into three major problems. And if we're going to use some like economic analysis and for you to understand, if you cluster the problems to understand the root causes, I think it will boil down into three major problems. So now allow me to discuss. This is just my thought. You could say no if you don't agree and yes if you agree. Those three problems I think are: number one is governance, number two, constitution and law, and number three is the implementation, the execution, and the creation of law. So now this video actually, I am planning to create three series of videos to discuss these three matters. So now let me discuss my first issue, governance. Why did I consider governance as a main problem in the Philippines, the state of the Philippines? I do understand in a perspective of an economist that governance, the form of governance a nation is using, should be the reflection of what is going on in the society. What I'm trying to say is that if there is a change in the society, the governance, the form of governance the government is using should also change. But what's happening in the Philippines, I think, is that the society is changing, yet our governance, the form of governance the government is using, is not really changing. If we're going to analyze our history, the history of governance that is being used in the Philippines, there is really a transition before. So from the time of President Aguinaldo, and because that was after the war, so he needs to put up a revolutionary form of government. And if you're going to fast track a bit, when like the America gave us our freedom, the Commonwealth during President Manuel L. Quezon, the American slowly establishing the democratic form of government, but we are following the central form of governance. So everything dwells in the power in Manila, because before in the Commonwealth, if you're going to define Philippines, it would be Manila. And after that one, let's fast track a bit. During the downfall of Marcos regime, President Aquino, democracy was really laid down. And after that episode, our form of governance stopped growing. So from Cory down to Ramos, then here comes Estrada, then Arroyo, the form of governance was in stagnated form. It did not grow. So while our society is developing, the form of governance is not developing. That is why that is the problem, I think. Philippines is following a democratic form of government. Okay, but our form of governance is a central form of government. Democracy, if we're going to understand democracy in its layman's term, the simplest definition is the power is vested into the people. But if we're going to dig down into the etymology of the word democracy, democracy comes from the two Latin words, which demos and kratos, or kratia. So demos means the people. Kratos or kratia, on the other hand, is ruled by law. Therefore, despite that the power is given to the people, there should be a rule of law. So that is the one definition of democracy that we forgot. Now, actually, as I was reading some articles, a really good thought came into my mind. If we go back to the time of Commonwealth, Manuel L. Quezon, America was helping the government, Philippine government, to establish itself as really the government of the Philippines. That time, America suggested Philippines to follow a central form of government wherein everything should be concentrated in one particular area, which is in Manila. Because before, Philippines is equal to Manila. And I think America is just so lazy to build up small nations or small state, if we're going to say, in different parts of the Philippines, because Philippines is an archipelago. Now, that's the suggestion of America. Isn't that ironic that despite America is suggesting for Philippines to have a central form of government, they themselves is not implementing a central form of government in their own governance. Take note that America is a federal form of government. Isn't that ironic? Why is it America, despite they are teaching Philippines that time to have a central form of government, they are not using it in their own nation? Well, if you're going to understand that spectrum in this idea, I think you would realize what's the bad side about it. A while ago, we understand that democracy is a form of government given, the power is given to the people mandated by law. If we're going to analyze this definition, democracy is a very tricky form of government. Why? Because I think in order for you to really savor the fruits of democracy, you need to be crucial on what form of governance you are using. I think the reason why America chose to have the federal form of governance, it's because they know for a fact that if the power is vested into a people and it is governed by law, therefore the power would be concentrated to those people. And if that would happen, then there would be no check and balance of power. That is why I think America established a federal form of governance in order for them to have a check and balance, because the federal state could check the national state and the national state could check the federal state. Where in our own form, the central form of government, we don't have check and balance. That is why I think corruption is very strong in this kind of setting. Now, it's not just America. If you're going to check most of those democratic nations, if we go to Europe, that's UK, and there is also like Australia, Canada. If we go down to Asia, there is Japan, South Korea, even Thailand. Most of these democratic nations are really using it's either parliamentary form of governance or federal governance. Philippines is the only one using a central form of government. And if you're going to check it, most of the nation who uses federal form of governance as well as parliamentary form of governance, they are those of the richer country. Therefore, I think the formula is that democracy should equal or should be supported by federal form of government or a parliamentary form of government. Now, if you're going to scrutinize the platform of the aspirants, the presidential aspirants, Duterte is the only one who wanted to change the governance. Now, here's the thing. The LP, Binay, Po, Santiago, I just don't understand why is it these candidates, I'm not saying bad things around that, this is just an opinion. Why is it they are very willing to continue a form of governance where in fact they know at the very start there's something wrong with it? I think if they really understood the essence of democracy, the essence of giving power to the people, and how are we going to save our democracy, then they should be thinking of a way in order to strengthen the weakness of democracy. Now, here comes Duterte, a federal form of government. Well, if we're going to understand federal government, it's the simplest form is that it gives power or autonomy to federal states. So this federal state, these small states, could create their own like laws and like taxation and everything, but with respect to the national state, the head state. So here comes Duterte. Oh, you might be thinking, you might be asking, oh, what's my capability of explaining federalism? Well, actually, I'm a member of an organization called CDYAP. So it's a centrist like group wherein we push for federalism. And I was very lucky because at a very young age, my ates and kuya, Ate Pia, like Kuya Patrick and Ma'am Hazel, really explained and helped me understand what is the spectrum of the federalism. So that's the one. I think the thing that I would be the reason why I'll be voting for Duterte, it's because of the federalism. He wanted to push federalism as a form of governance. What's the assurance of the Philippines becoming a stronger nation if we follow federal form of governance? I think in whatever theories you need proof. That's essential. And therefore, if you need some proof, then just Google what's going on in America, what's going on in Great Britain, what's going on in Australia, and everything. And you would be thinking federal is one of the most suited form of government that we need. So there you go. That's the first thing. So if you have like comments and like bloody remarks, then just like click the comment button and just press enter. So thank you again, and just wait for my second video. Bye bye.